Okay, YouTube, so today I'm with a new video here, a very interesting video about troubleshooting misfire. You have a misfire and multiple misfire or a random misfire. The code for this truck here is shaking a lot, it doesn't stay starting, you always keep flooding the engine. Because first you have to investigate, see where the problem is. Okay? So the tool that you're gonna need for this job is mainly a test light and a multimeter. Okay, so you're gonna check for resistance and you're gonna check for spark. You're gonna check with the test light, you're gonna check for power and for ground. Okay, and connector. Okay, so first thing, this engine is a V6, a 3-liter engine. You have access to the plug in the front and the coil, but you don't have access in the back, so you have to remove the intake to get to the plug in the back or the coil in the back. Okay, so for this case, when you have a V6, you have to remove the intake. You want to make sure that when you go in there at the back, you want to check everything and you don't have to go back and forth taking out the head, not the head, the intake 1 or 2 or 3 times to fix the problem, or to find what is the problem. So the first thing, when you open the intake, most time you can fix the problem by just start by changing the spark plug. Okay, so we're gonna change the spark plug. Doesn't matter what, you change the spark plug. Okay, so the next step, when you change the spark plug, how do you know that the coil is good or the coil is no good? So we'll have to check the coil, make sure that the coil is good. We don't want to put it back and then you still have a misfire that the coil is not working. You check the coil, make sure that the coil in the back is good. Okay, you check the coil is good. So you still have a next problem, you have your injector problem. You can have an injector problem that you fix the coil, but then it's not the coil problem, you have an injector problem. So how are we going to solve this? So we're going to disconnect all the injector. Okay, and we're going to check the injector for power. And you're going to check the injector for a ground that's coming from the computer. The computer driver is going to be sending signal to each injector on a pulse. Okay, so those are the 3 things you need to check, because you don't want to go back and do this, remove the intake 2-3 times and you still don't find the problem. So I'm going to go through the process, how we're going to be checking this stuff here, and very important that you check them. And it's like if you change the plug alone, it's just like you're gambling, and then you put back the intake, you start the engine, the car is running rough still. Okay, so what you're going to be doing, so first I'm going to be changing my plugs. Okay, so like I said, that's the first thing you're going to be starting with, changing plugs. Okay, then when you change the plug, then the second thing I'm going to be looking at, I'm going to be looking about my ignition coil. Alright, so how I'm going to check this, I'm going to need someone to help me to crank the engine so I can remove the coil. Okay, this is the coil here. I will remove the coil and I will take a spark plug. So what you need to do to check the coil, you're going to take the old plug or a new one, you stick it in the coil here, the same way it goes on the car like this. Okay, and you can either touch it on the ground on the engine somewhere, valve cover somewhere, or you could just get a jumper, put a negative on the battery, negative, and just put the coil, the plug, just touch it anywhere on the other end of the jumper, and someone crank the engine for you, you should get spark on this plug here. Alright, so that way you know that your injector is good, because you want to eliminate the problem, that make sure all the injector is good, because you don't want to go back and do extra work for nothing. Okay, so you do it on all 3 of the back one. Then when you make sure that all plugs, you're getting spark from all your coils, then you know, okay, your coils are good, your plugs are new. Okay, so then what we're going to do now, you already solved 2 problems. Alright, so if one coil is not sparking, you have to replace that coil. Alright, so now we're going to move forward to our injector, because you don't want to go back there again. So we're going to disconnect all our wire from our injector. This is the injector harness here. In this case, you need to turn your ignition to the on position, all right? And then you're going to take your test light, you're going to put it to the negative of the battery, and while we're checking there, we're checking for power. So when the key is on, you should have power on each of these wire here. All 6 of them should have power all the time. So if you get power there or you have no power, then you know you have to check your fuse, because most of these are coming from the fuse. All right. So now if there's power, we're gonna check the ground here. Okay, because the pulse here is coming from your computer. All right. So from the computer driver. So when you're gonna check here, you're gonna need someone to crank the engine, and you're gonna put a test light, or you have a special pulse light that you can put on the injector. If you have the kit for the pulse, you can just plug it there, and then it's gonna make the light is gonna flash while you're cranking. So what you're gonna be doing, you can use a test light to do that. If the left side has power, then you know the other side you have to check for ground. So all the grounds are good. Okay. So then what now we're gonna do? We're gonna be checking each individual injector. Okay. So this is the injector here. I don't know if you can see these one down here because they are on the fuel rail, right? Okay. So you're gonna be checking the injector here for continuity, or you're checking it for amps. Okay. See the reading that you have. This one they have like 11.4, something like that amps. Okay. So you're gonna be testing that with your multimeter. Okay. Testing that with this. So let's say, for example, you test all of them and they are all at 11 something amps or something like that, 11.4 or 13, whatever the resistance is. Okay, now you say that they're good. But sometimes you can run into a problem with that. The problem you can run into, you can have an injector is good, but the injector is black. So how are you going to find a black injector? So now what you have to be doing in that case, don't put back your coil. You leave your coil out, and you put in your spark plug. In each cylinder, put in the spark plug. Okay. Then you're going to be cranking the engine. Like if you want to start it, with the fuel is going to be pumping into your combustion chamber, into your cylinder. And because the car don't start, you have to connect back your injector, the power to the injector though. So the injector is going to be working like normal. And you're going to get a regular pulse, and it's going to be shooting gas in the cylinder. But what happened, you're trying to check the injector that if it's shooting the gas out. Because although you check here and you have the amps are good, but your injector could be blocked. 1 or 2 of them can be blocked by dirt from the gas coming to the injector. Okay. So what happened now, you have to remove your plug, and then you check all the plug, if all the plug have gas on them. All right. So now you know that the plug they have gas on them, you know that the injector is shooting gas. So you know that you eliminate that problem, right? So if, for example, you take one plug, all of them is wet, and this one plug is dry, then you know your injector is blocked. It's not shooting gas, and you know you need to replace that. So all of these steps you're doing because you don't want to go back there twice. You want to make sure your injector is firing good, and then, so in that case, what happens? You have gas in the cylinder. So what you could do with that, you have to remove the plug, just heat them up to get the gas out. Or if you could blow in the cylinder, it's nothing much. But in that case, what I do, I take like some oil, and I put it in each cylinder. So what the oil do, it helps you to build up the compression back in the cylinder. Okay? And you have a lot like that when you start your car and your car don't start and you keep cranking it, what you do, you're just pouring gas in your cylinder. And what you do, you're making it worse because the gas is washing out the oil. So now you wouldn't get a strong compression. All right? You wouldn't get a strong compression. So in that way, if you have to change the injector, obviously you have to remove the rail, injector rail, okay? And you have to know what system you have on this car, right? Because this car they have 2 systems of the gas is coming to your injector. You have sometimes, this one is a single hose that is coming from the pump. So your pump has the pressure regulators on your pump. Okay, and you have an electronic regulator here too, okay? So in this one here, you're gonna have pressure in the line all the way because the pump is the one that hold the pressure. So when you start your car have the pressure immediately to start right away without you cranking, and you have to take time to build up the pressure. Okay. So in that case, you will have to remove the line. So you have two choices to remove your line safely, and you don't want to get gas in your face or in your eye. You could crack the line from where it's connected there. Okay, there's a connection there. You could crack the line, or you could remove this sensor here. And what I do in that case, when I know there's pressure on the line, I take a nice rag like a towel, and I wrap it around. I take out the screw, I wrap it around there, and then you remove the sensor easy. So the pressure of the gas, whatever, it's not a lot, but the rag will soak it up, and you can do the same for the other line. Okay. So this is the injector rail. Okay. So this is the connection. That when you release it, just put a rag over it. Okay. Just like this. You take a rag, you put it right over here, and then you release it. So the rag is gonna, and the same thing you can take out from this sensor. You can loose out the number 8 screw, and then you put a rag here, lift it up. So when it's spray, the rag is gonna block it until when the pressure finish, you remove it. Okay, but sometimes you gotta be careful. Some car you have after pressure could just shoot like so you have to be like always wear protective eye glass, whatever you're doing this. Okay, so whenever you're gonna change your injector, you have O-rings, one at the bottom and one on top. So it's always important that when you're putting it back, you put some grease or you put some oil. That way you don't have to force it in and you break the rubber, or the rubber get pinched or something. As soon as you put some oil, it goes right in. Okay. So when you change the injector, the one that have no gas in it, that's the one that's making problem. And just in case you have that situation, you change the one. And when you put back the rail, the next important thing you need to do is you have to check for a gas leak. So how are you going to check for gas leak? You're going to be putting your injector, you put the oil in them, they slip in nicely, you bolt it down, it's a 4 screw. And after that, you want to connect your gas line, connect back your sensor, and then you're going to crank the car, put back your fuel pump fuse or the relay, whichever one you take out. You're going to crank the engine, and you're going to be shooting gas. It's going to build up pressure on the rail. So what you're going to do is stop, you crank it 2-3 times. So what you're checking for a leak on the injector, the one that you replace, or because you have to remove the whole rail, sometimes they could have a leak on the one that goes into the intake manifold. So you'll be checking if there's gas is coming on anyone. If no gas is coming or no leak is there, then you know you did a good job. There is no leak in the injector, because you don't want to put it back and then there is gas leak. The gas is smelling, gas is pouring out from the injector. Or O-ring, you damage your O-ring or something. So that's the time you need to check it by pressurizing the system, and you come back in the front and you look for leaks. Okay? So, and it takes you, let's say, a maximum hour just to do all these tests that I'm saying here. That's gonna help you to not to go back in there for 2-3 times, and so that is the easy way that you can diagnose a misfiring problem. A 4-cylinder engine is more easy because everything is easy access, but when you have to remove the intake to get to the plugs at the back, because you cannot see the plugs in the back when you put back your intake. Just going to show you. So these are your coil here. Okay, so when you put your intake, okay, your intake is going to be over here. It's covering the back there, so you cannot see, or you cannot work, you cannot do no diagnostic, you cannot get to your ignition wire to test it. So that's why when you get this out, you do those tests, so you don't want to go back there. Okay, and it's a lot of precaution, and if you follow this video and you go step by step what I explained to you, you will find your problem very simple. Okay, so remember, checking injector, there is 2 ways you do it. You do it with your multimeter, for arms, and if that is good, you do a test by connecting your injector, the wire, and then you try to crank the engine and then take out your plug and see that, make sure all your plugs have gas in them. If they don't have gas, that's one giving you the problem, and you solve your problem there. So you're killing 3 birds with 1 stone. Okay, so I hope this video helped you. So subscribe to my channel and have a good day. Bye.